Test 7, passage number 1. Let's go through this passage and talk about it. If you haven't read the passage yet, stop, go read the passage, and come back. I'm just going to race through sort of a quick synopsis, some of the things that we're going to be looking for once we get to the questions. So, first of all, make sure that you read this little bit at the top before the passage actually starts. This passage is adapted from George Eliot, Silas Marner, originally published in 1861. Silas was a weaver and a notorious miser. If you don't know what a miser is, well, maybe we can figure that out. Because it says, but then the gold he had hoarded was stolen. A miser is someone who hoards money. Shortly after, Silas adopted a young child, Eppie, the daughter of an impoverished woman who had died suddenly. Great. We know a lot of backstory here, and we can dive into the passage. Paragraph 1. My very first word in this passage is critical. Unlike the gold, which blah, 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 Eppie. So Eppie is unlike the gold. That's the very first thing I know, and it's incredibly important to this passage. I know the gold needs nothing, must be worshipped, but Eppie is unlike the gold. She's a creature of endless claims, ever-growing desires, seeking loving sunshine, living sounds, living movements. So she is not like the gold because she likes all of this stuff. Now I've got another comparison. The gold had kept his thoughts in an ever-repeated circle, but Eppie was an object compacted of changes and hopes that forced his thoughts onward. So the gold kept his thoughts in a circle, she forced his thoughts onward. The gold had asked that he should sit weaving longer and longer, deafened and blinded more and more. But Eppie called him away from his weaving, made him think all its pauses a holiday, reawakening his senses. Great, that's paragraph 1. So what's the main idea of this paragraph? Eppie is unlike the gold. The gold keeps him interior. Eppie makes him look to the outside. That's going to be sort of my main idea. So the gold, maybe I'll write gold equals circular, Eppie awakens. Okay, great. Now, paragraph 2. When the sunshine grew strong and lasting, Silas might be seen in the study midday, blah, blah, blah. He's doing all of this stuff. He's picking flowers. They're making remarks to the winged things. She's calling Dad's attention by bringing him the flowers. She's turning her ear to some sudden bird note. So what's she doing? They're out walking. They're paying attention to nature. Now we've got a little change here. Sitting on the banks in this way, Silas began to look for the once familiar herbs again. So he began to look for the once familiar herbs again. This is something that he used to do. He's doing it again. And as the leaves with their unchanged outline and markings lay on his palm, there was a sense of crowding remembrances. So he's remembering all of these things from earlier in his life. Taking refuge in Eppie's little world that lay lightly on his enfeebled spirit. Interesting. Now my third paragraph. As the child's mind was growing into knowledge, his mind was growing into memory. So now he is like Eppie, right? Her mind is growing into knowledge. His mind is growing into memory. Her life is unfolded. His soul, long stupefied in a cold, narrow prison, was unfolding too, and trembling gradually into full consciousness. Full disclosure, I've been in quarantine for more than 2 months, so trust me, I feel what that cold, narrow prison feels like. I'm waiting for my soul to tremble gradually into full consciousness, if you know what I'm saying. It was an influence which must gather force with every new year. So as the years are passing, this influence is gathering force. It's getting stronger and stronger. The tones that stirred Silas's heart, they're stirring his heart, they're changing him, called for more distinct answers, blah, blah, blah. By the time Eppie was 3 years old, she developed a fine capacity for mischief. Now, this is not a super common usage of the word fine, so we might not exactly understand what it means, but if we keep reading, we see, and for devising ingenious ways of being troublesome. So if she's devising ingenious ways of being troublesome, her fine capacity for mischief, it's probably a good capacity for mischief, right? It's probably solid. So, found much exercise not only for Silas' patience, but for his watchfulness and penetration. Sorely was poor Silas puzzled on such occasions by the incompatible demands of love. So he is puzzled because not only does he need patience, watchfulness, penetration. This means understanding what's going on. But he also loves her, so he's not just annoyed by her. She is mischievous, But, he loves her, and she has brought him out into remembrance. She has helped his soul unfold.